You guys ever have one of those kind of releases or retros or new product, whatever, that you get in and you open up the lid, you pull them out, and it just makes you smile? Yeah, that's these. Yo, what's good guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we are taking a detailed look and breakdown on the 2024 edition of the Nike Air Foamposite 1 in the Eggplant colorway. What I would consider, this might be a hot take, besides the original Royals, the best colorway of the Foamposite 1 ever. But just in case you guys are wondering, this is the box. It's a simple black Nike sportswear box. I believe that the Foamposites recently have been coming in those. I don't buy them that often. It's not a shoe that I wear typically, but it is a shoe that makes me happy, especially in a colorway like this. For those that don't know, the colorway of the shoe is actually inspired by the Nike Flightposite, which is just one hell of a sneaker. Like, they're rumored to be re-releasing this year. Will they actually re-release them properly? I don't know. We'll see. Fingers crossed, you know what I mean? But if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, we do have a Flightposite video. I think that was when I tore my calf. There's missing rubber, like the tooling's not the same as the original, and it just looks like a shoe compared to the original from 1999. But anyways, the colorway here originated on that model, and that was back in 1999. And when we first saw those, like those specifically in that colorway, it was like some new, like some next level shit. Fast forward to, I think it's 2009, and that's when the Foamposite 1 adopted the Eggplant colorway. And this, for those of you guys that don't know, is actually my first pair. Not this pair specifically, but the original version of this shoe in this colorway was my first pair of Foamposite 1s. And for anybody that grew up in the 90s, the Foamposite 1 was like that shoe. Like, there were Jordans, and there were Pennies, there were Pippins, there were Barclays, like there was all kinds of stuff. The Grant Hills over at Fila. There were so many shoes that were just like, everybody was like, oh, I want those. But when these dropped, not these specifically, just the model itself, the original Royal pair, way back in 1997, everybody was like, it was crazy. It was like looking into the future. And I gotta tell you, the future still hasn't caught up yet. Adidas is getting close, I'll give it that. But like, it's one of those things where it's just like, you look at this and it just looks like it's from out of this world. Like, it just doesn't belong here still. Like, it's just so cool to see this. Like, Eric Avar was way the ahead of his time designing this sneaker. Not only designing the shoe, but the process to make it. Like, it's just incredible. Now, these guys are back again. So there was the 2009, sorry. There was a 2010 release of this shoe in this colorway, which I believe was the 2009 just leftover. That's how I got mine. Like, I ended up getting them a year later. They were over at Chic and they were just sitting there, just collecting dust, and they dropped to a price to where I was like, That's how I ended up with the pair, and I just loved them. They ended up being my rain boots. Then there was a 2017 re-release of the shoe, same exact colorway. I didn't grab those. Fast forward 2024, here we are. I got another pair. It's just one of those shoes, and like I said, when I pulled them out of the box, I just started smiling. It was real weird because I have more of an attachment to many other shoes, but when I first got my first pair of Foamposites, it was just, I don't know, you turn into a little kid again. You're just like, man, I can't believe I have something like this. You know what I mean? Like, as a young high school me, this seemed like something that was not even plausible, owning a pair, that is. But anyways, there's a cool story that surrounds these guys. They were originally not designed for Penny Hardaway, believe it or not. They were actually designed for Scottie Pippen. He would end up being used as the marketing very loosely. I've only seen it in a couple of East Bay magazines, but there was like a little blurb with Scottie's face on it, and it was next to the Foamposite 1, the pearl joints. And it said something like along the lines of like, oh, built for Scottie Pippen, blah, 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 blah. But what ended up happening is that Eric Avar went to Penny's house with a bag full of shoes, because I'm pretty sure he was just kind of like going his rounds and everything like that, like going to athletes and being like, hey, this is our new product, this is what we got going on, feel free to let us know what you like, dislike, etc. And Penny saw this shoe in a bag, he pulled it out and he was like, what the f is this? I need it. And it's literally that simple. That's how the story ends. Obviously they became Penny's shoe and not Scottie's. Oh, Scottie doesn't know. This shoe is a beast on court. It's a tank as well, so if you don't believe me, just buy a pair yourself and check them out, even though they do break the bank, so be careful. Like, you think Jordan Retros are expensive? Nah, this is crazy. But what we've got here is herringbone from top to bottom. It's gorgeous, dude. Like, so icy. It's beautiful. The Penny logo just kind of tops it off, you know what I mean? Like, that's the cherry on top. On top of that, there is one beefy shank plate here. It's a spring plate on top of that. Something that I think is interesting, like when I see this, my mind automatically goes to this because this had the wrapped shank too. You had the shank on one side and the other, but it's not actually all the way through. It's just little panels or pieces. And I always thought that that was fascinating. That's not the case with this. This does a full-on wrap plus extends from heel to forefoot. It's a monster of a shank plate. It's carbon fiber on top of that. It's just cool to see, man. They still do it the same same exact way that they used to way back in the day, and I love it. I will say that these are not identical to the pair that I had originally, the 2009/2010 pair. There's this weird white stuff on the heel and toe. I don't know what that is. I just don't know. It could be glue, it could be polyurethane, who knows? All I know is that you could see it. So you could not see that on previous renditions, so I guess that would be one of those ways to tell that this is the new version and not one of the old versions. Now, it's interesting talking about tech specs with this shoe because this shoe is all tech spec everything. Literally from top to bottom, it's just nothing but tech. The cushion is very interesting. It's full-length Zoom Air, and in the heel, it's double stacked. It's awesome. It's like Air Jordan 18-esque. They had a similar setup. So yeah, they're very comfortable. They're very sturdy though, so there's not a lot of flexibility at first. This is one of those shoes that you really got to break it in, both casually and on court. Doesn't matter like what you're trying to do. You got to break these things in. The midsole itself is double lasted. That means that it's inside of the actual upper, so you don't have like a look like this where, you know, a traditional shoe has an outsole, a midsole, and then an upper. Like it's all like one looking piece, and they call that double lasting. So that's supposed to bring the foot and the footbed, aka the midsole, closer together for performance purposes. For this particular shoe, it's maybe not the best just because the upper itself is kind of the same material, so it's all polyurethane everything, which is not very flexible. But once you warm it up, that was the main selling point of the shoe, is that Foamposite and the material that it's made out of, the longer that you wear it, the more that it molds to your foot, so you get kind of that custom shape, or at least inside, not outside. Speaking of the Foamposite, it's actually polyurethane. So this is one of the weirdest shoes to be made or manufactured ever. I don't know if there has been a weirder one outside of maybe 3D printing or 4D if you want to count that, but like this to me I still think kind of takes the cake, mainly because the upper itself is liquid at first. Like they have to make the polyurethane liquid. They have a mold for the upper, much like you would for the tooling, like the midsole, the outsole, things like that. You have an actual mold for the upper of the shoe. It's insane. And the mold is upside down, so they pour liquid polyurethane through the top and they just let it seep in there and create this look. It's so cool. One of the cool parts about it is because it is polyurethane, you can like actually feel it. Like you could squeeze the upper and stuff and it moves, you know what I mean? It's so sick. Now the eye stay area, thank goodness they did not change it to that disgusting looking fake pebbled leather. They kept it straight up like the original. We've got synthetic nubuck on here, the way that it should be. They should have never changed that. I don't know why they did. Well, I do. Budget. It's a combination between the budget and some dude over there being like, you know what? I think that we need to make this better. It's like, no, dude, it was perfect as it was. There's an internal booty in there. That's probably the one flaw as far as like the overall build. This is actually a through line with the penny line in general, especially in the heels, the penny one specifically, and then these guys as well, where there's some floppiness action going on, you know what I mean? Like it's like one of those shoes that you can't necessarily get the best lockdown until the shoe itself breaks in. This is where I'll say the Flightposite really kind of enhanced this overall thought process of posit uppers, because that shoe was kind of a sock shoe with the zip up enclosure. So you didn't have those same issues with that model that you did with these. The insole, for those of you guys wondering, is this guy right here. It is kind of similar to what they originally came with. Every Foamposite that I've ever had has had like an insole like it. This is one of the shoes where I would probably not recommend swapping it out. You could if you needed to, or if you really wanted to and stuff like that, but this is one of those shoes that I think has enough of everything. Like the shank is so substantial that you don't really need that type of support unless you have a very flat arch and you do need something propping it up or whatever while you're in sport mode. But for those of you guys wondering, they do fit true to size. Whatever you typically wear, especially in Foamposites, that's exactly what I would run with. And normally my lovely wife over there does the question of the day, but I'm gonna take over for this one because I'm curious, what is that shoe that when you get it, you pull it out of the box and it literally just makes you smile? Like I could not help it. I grabbed these, I opened up the box lid, I pulled out the shoe and I was like, man, you know what I mean? Like it was just some like involuntary reaction that I had towards this model. And I know that you have one. So sound off below and let me know. I would love to hear it. But yeah, that pretty much takes care of it. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really do appreciate it. We will catch you guys on the next one. So until then, have a good one.